Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. As some of you may have noticed, the links to my stories are a little harder to access now because I did have to go ahead and put all of my stories as only viewable to registered archive of our own users. This is to try and help prevent my stories from being scrubbed by AI bots. I really don't want anything that I have written to be used in that manner, and so almost all of my stories are now locked. Also, this particular story starts off a little dark, but I promise you it is Hurt Comfort, which means nothing's gonna last too long. One last thing before we start. If you want to join me in my Discord channel, add me on Tumblr, or if you'd like to commission me for something, please make sure to check out that description for those links. Without further ado, let me read to you Demons and Friends. Virgil had a problem. There was no nice way to dress it up, no way to make it cutesy or to sugarcoat things. Virgil had a problem because his mind was too loud, and his room liked to make nightmares reality. Normally he could deal with it. Yes, he was anxiety, but he was also a fighter. The others still believed that when it came to fight or flight, he was flight because that's what he always told Thomas to do. But that's because Thomas was a flight person. Thomas was comprised of all of them, and Logan, Patton, and Janice were all flight people. Though Janice and Logan would never admit it. Virgil, on the other hand, was a fighter. He would fight his own thoughts, fight the nightmares he'd created, and eventually, he would exhaust himself so much that he would have nothing to think about. No more nightmares he needed to fight, and with that, he could curl into bed for a dreamless sleep. It wasn't always this way. He used to have Remus, who would fight by his side. When they were younger, Remus and Virgil would fight side by side, but he had left that behind. He had to fight on his own, and he had managed that for a while, but he wasn't sure he could keep going. All the nights of fighting alone had made him stronger, and the stronger he was, the more he worried about what he would have to fight this time around. His nightmares grew stronger, and he had to fight harder. It was a vicious cycle. He slid backwards, staring at the demon that was already healing itself, staring at the nightmare he had created. It wasn't intentional. It never was. But he could tell he was getting in over his head. Virgil wasn't sure that he could win this time, and he didn't know what would happen if he lost. See, that's the problem, little virgin. Virgil stiffened, feeling a physical and metaphorical rod go through his spine. Looking down and seeing it poking out of his chest, this wasn't possible. This shouldn't be possible. Slowly he looked behind him, and Remus was standing there, a terrifying glint in his eyes. It wasn't Remus. It couldn't really be Remus. He knew the intrusive side probably hated him, but not enough to try and kill him. Remus had no reason to be here. Virgil began to cough up blood, pain echoing through every inch in his body. He couldn't feel his legs, and as the rod slipped out of his body, he crumpled. This had to be a nightmare. He needed to fight, had to fight, but he was in far too much pain to fight. As he fell to the floor, Remus stood above him. "You should have stayed. I would have let you live if you had stayed, but that's okay. I'm gonna stuff you and hang you in my room. Then we'll never be apart." Virgil's breath caught in his throat as his world swam. He watched as the monster wearing his friend's skin raised what he could see as a spear over his head. This wasn't really Remus. It couldn't be. But the anxiety that ate its way through his brain whispered a different truth. Maybe it was. Maybe this was Remus. And maybe he deserved this for leaving his friend behind. "I'm sorry," he choked out, fighting against the encroaching darkness. It would be just like him to die alone and terrified. Except he didn't die. Consciousness grabbed him hard and pulled him from the depths. He almost wished he was dead with the way the pain echoed through his body. "Good, you're awake. Now I can begin my lecture," Janice said, the exasperation dripping off every word. "Fuck you," Virgil choked out, but he gripped the hand that was in his, refusing to let whoever it was leave. "Fuck yourself," Oh wait, you can't, because you got yourself injured. He could almost hear Janice rolling his eyes. What do you think would have happened if Remus hadn't felt how bad your intrusive thoughts were getting? Do you know how hard it would have been for either of us to help you heal if the wound truly set in? Really, Virgil, it isn't a crime to ask for help. Yeah, whatever, I'm fine, he grumbled, trying to push himself up, but he was immediately pushed back down. Janice's hand was firm against his shoulder, and Virgil wanted to keep fighting, but he didn't have the energy. He sighed angrily and closed his eyes. A hole in your stomach is the epitome of what I would call fine. Now shut up and rest. There was a tense silence in the room until Virgil broke it. Thanks, he finally muttered, and the person holding his hand squeezed it tighter. Don't do something that stupid again, Emo, Remus said, curling up into the bed with Virgil, leaning against him. Just because you left doesn't mean I won't fight with you. I'm here by your side, Emo. Don't leave, okay? Virgil's facade of anger disappeared as he nodded. Yeah, okay. I'll reach out next time. I figured you didn't want to see me. Psh, we've been through and done worse together. You playing traitor and going over to the other side isn't gonna make me leave you behind. Virgil snorted, and Janice finally let go, pulling up a chair to sit next to the bed. All right, settle down, you two. It's time to relax. We aren't 10, Janice. No, you aren't, but you are injured, so settle down and shut up. He saw Janice's little smirk. He always thought he had the power in a given situation. Virgil laughed, and it hurt, but after the pain settled, he closed his eyes. His demons came when they were called, but so did his friends. Thank you all for listening. I know this one is a little on the darker side, but it has a happy ending. I hope that was enough for you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.